for this meeting, first of all, Sergeant can talk about the updates to the retail portal, which is already ready for internal testing. So you can start, Sergeant.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone. So I'll first start with the retail portal progress. I'll start by answering some of the questions asked by Charman. He's not here, but I'll still be answering them. The first question is, so he selected a source and a destination, and he clicked search, and he got 5 route results. And he was asking like, what is the meaning of the remarks on the right? So if you all still remember the very first version of retail portal before we rewrite it, if a route isn't supported, like for example, if one of the segment is epsilon or source or destination is epsilon, we don't support epsilon right now, then the order now button will be grayed out. Previously they say they were asking like, okay, why is this button grayed out? Now I am adding a reason saying that why you cannot select this route. So this is obviously the uh, retail portal telling you that, okay, this route is not supported. Okay, and an exact reason why it's not supported. It's not just unsupported. Okay, so if you see this, that means, okay, this route cannot be selected. Only the one with order now button can be selected. Okay, so there are 7 possible reasons for an unsupported route. Okay, so the first one means that, okay, if a route contains unsupported partner epsilon, for example, then this will be shown. And the next 6, okay, so 2, 3, 4, I'll explain this a little bit more, and 5, 6, 7, 2. Okay. And then the next question asked by Sharman is also he selected a port that he has already ordered, but then the PGS, okay, the routes shown here is still showing unrelevant partners. For example, the port he's ordered is Console Connect, and then the route is still showing Megaport. Why is that? I'll also explain this. Okay, to fully understand this, okay, I'll have to explain how these things works behind the scenes. Do I have this? Okay, so we have a backend API server called BOS, and this BOS, its database contains data like SDN node, console connect location, megaport location, epsilon location. So all these are called partner locations, and the SDN node is what we call it like on net. Okay, so it is the node management page. You can find it on the wholesale portal. So the BOS database, um, it doesn't know what is a port mapping. Okay, it is the PGS that knows what is a port mapping. So given an SDN node and a console connect, BOS doesn't know whether both of them belongs to the same port mapping. However, BOS knows that, okay, if a given SDN node is available, that means that it has at least one port that can be ordered. So, and not all SDN node have available ports. So this is very important. So you need to keep this in mind. And the DCI that we all know when we create it on our wholesale portal, the DCI, okay, is a SDN port to SDN port. Behind the scenes is SDN port to SDN port. So this is very important. So we should put 4 exclamation marks here. Then we have pricing graph server. Okay, so this is the service that is responsible for calculating the prices for our web
Sorry,
pricing.
Sergeant. A DCI is SDN port to SDN port. Yeah,
Yes.
that's
yes.
obvious. But the search itself is SDN node to SDN node.
Yes, I'll explain this.
Okay.
Okay. PGS, okay, the service that calculates the price return and the service that return the routes for our web pricing portal, our price calculator. Okay, so this is the internal structures, okay, inside the database. PGS has this port mapping. Okay, so this one groups the SDN node and the partner locations together, okay, into just one port mapping. You can see it here that this SDN node is just a single green circle without any other circles inside it. That is because PGS retrieves this information from our boss, right? It retrieves this from our boss, and it only retrieves the SDN node. It doesn't retrieve the switch and the port information. So that means PGS doesn't know whether this SDN node has ports that can be ordered or not. Okay, so some explanation down here, some explanation down here. This is what I was saying. Okay, so this explains why PGS, okay, can return routes that goes from, for example, SDN node A to SDN node B. But then retail portal will be showing we'll be showing messages like source data center does not have a available port, destination data center does not have available port, because PGS, when it calculates the routes and price, it uses SDN node but not SDN switch or SDN port. So as we said here, not all SDN node have available ports for ordering. So that's why. Okay. Then
Okay,
retail
just
portal.
let me just one
Yeah.
word for MG. So MG to avoid this, what you can do is for all those port mapping with the SDN locations, you can try to make sure that they all have available ports. So try to reduce the number of those dummy nodes or node that we don't have any switch in it.
Okay. So what happens if there is no switches added, those nodes without any devices or switches?
It won't be a valid place to start any or finish any search. Start or finish a search.
The search we will still, have it as a possible path that can be selected, but we won't be able to place any order because there is no valid port that we can use as a source or the destination.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, continue.
Then retail portal. Okay, retail portal is just a UI. Okay, web interface. It retrieves information from boss. Okay, mainly for the ordering. It retrieves what usable SDN node. So that means SDN node that has a port, at least one port that can be ordered. And then partner locations also with port mapping ID, because we can also have SDN node that are not group, that is not group inside any other port mapping. So usable SDN node with port mapping ID, partner locations with port mapping ID also. So these two are the most important information that retail portal needs in order to place an order and search for routes. Okay, so the port mapping ID, like I said before, boss doesn't know anything about it. Okay, no port mapping ID here, right? So boss then retrieves the port mapping information from pricing graph server. Okay, in order to return it for retail portal. Okay. Because of this knowledge asymmetry, okay, between boss and PGS, retail portal now, after the retail portal receives these two information, the retail portal will try to replicate the same data structure as a PGS here. Okay, we have the ID, we have the node, we have the partner locations, so we can group all of them by the port mapping ID, right? So a single port mapping ID, under it we can have one or more SDN node and many partner locations. Okay, so after grouping them, then we can get one of these unsupported region after you click search. Because this one usable SDN node, okay, it doesn't return all the SDN node used by PGS, because this one only returns all the SDN node with orderable port. Okay, so there can be SDN node A, and this can be SDN node B and C. And then the routes return SDN node B to some partner location, and then this API doesn't include SDN node B and C, so this route is not supported. Okay, so that's an overall, very simplified overall summary of how things work behind the scenes. We also have pricing graph node and pricing graph edges, which really complicates a lot of things, so I'm not including it here. So this happens when the route uses a source destination, SDN node or partner location that is not included in both API responses. Okay, clear, right? So now I'm going to do some live demo, show how that's possible. Okay. Okay, retail portal, when you click services, and there should be a big order services button here, you can click and select DCI or Cloud Express of port. All of the ordering steps are completed now, so feel free to try out. Let's start by DCI. Okay, so you can select a source and destination, select a country, city. I like to use this one because this one always pass. So every data center that you see here is a port mapping. Okay, it is a port mapping. It is the this port mapping that retail portal tries its best to replicate. So this is actually a port mapping. And then under this, when I click this as the developer, I know that, okay, under this, there can be 0 or more SDN node and 0 or more partner locations. So I select it. Then the destination, you can, let's try one off net. Let's say Frankfurt. Okay. Confirm and we search. Okay, we get 5 results. Then you can expand it. So as you can see, all of the destination is console connect. So this one is definitely an off-net. The port order, when we create a port, we have to call console connect API. Right, all of them are console connect. So this one I can demonstrate how we have to wait for the workflow to succeed before we can proceed ordering the DCI. Okay, I have demonstrated this last month, but the previous month, the last 2 steps were not finished yet. So I'll demo it again. And call it my port 1, my port 1, my port 2. Submit the order. Okay, so this is just submitting the order. This doesn't mean that the port has been created. Okay, submitting an order and the port has been fully created is totally different. This means that the port order has been submitted. So when I click next, okay, this one, because it's an on-net and we have our backend, we have a mechanism that detects if it's development, then we provision it no matter what, but it isn't actually provisioned. So this one, okay, is active now. But this one, because it is an off-net, so it's pending. It's waiting. The workflow, console connect workflow is trying to create but failed. You can check this in the order tracking. Okay, so okay, this one, right, today. So yeah, my port 2 called Frankfurt. So it's stuck here. You can keep retrying, but this is local environment, so you won't go through this workflow step no matter what. So the ideal result will be both of them in active state. Then you can click next and configure the details there. So now I will demonstrate an example that both of them are active. DCI. Select the Shanghai again. And this one, let's select on net. Yep. Okay. So DC Connect to DC Connect Global. So it's definitely on net to on net. So console connect off net. Off net, off net. So can select this one. Your name. Submit the order. Click next. Both are active. Then now you can proceed by specifying the connection DCI details or source VLAN, whatever. Thanks. Okay, then there's a summary. Okay, this UI I know is a is a little bit plain. Okay, I'll improve it. So don't worry. So after you confirm everything, click order. Yeah, DCI order submitted. Then you can view it here. Okay, these two are just placeholder. So ignore it. And this page isn't designed yet. So ideal is you click inside, you can see more details of the DCI. Yeah, but that's the whole process for DCI ordering. It is very simple and intuitive, assuming that everything is smooth and the validated port status pass through easily. Like you don't have to wait a long time for the workflow to complete. And I will show a final example for DCI where the destination port doesn't have a data center. Let's try Shanghai again. This one would be Hong Kong. Okay. Just in case you are wondering why there are two Hong Kong, okay, because internally we use China, Hong Kong, and those partner locations, their address is Hong Kong, Hong Kong. Because of this inconsistency, that's why we have Hong Kong, Hong Kong, and also United States and USA. You can see all the possible country names here: United States, USA.
Okay, but we'll be fixing that.
Yep. That will require some effort, like matching partner city matching, and also an update to the PGS. So yep, this one. Let's search. Okay, so this one we get two routes and with no available port on the destination side. Okay, so as a developer, I know that this is that PGS. This route, the destination of this route, PGS maybe use an SDN node ID that boss knows it is unusable, which is why we get this unsupported reason. Okay, it is clear. I think it's clear enough and it is easy enough to understand, right? But yeah, that is everything about DC ordering.
That's impressive, Zildjian. Do you have a workflow for recovering from, so the scenario would be if you had on-net to off-net, and for whatever reason, some business developer has misconfigured the NNI port such that the PGS believes that there's an NNI port at a particular location, but it hasn't been configured so that the workflow fails. What happens in that situation?
No, I haven't written any new workflows. All workflows we have so far for the retail portal are those written by Anthony and Sia. Okay, I think more than 6 months ago.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
So nothing. No worries.
Okay, so if you are if you want to try it out, this ordering, you can try. You you can even try all possible combination of source and destination, and I would expect a lot of errors when you click the order DCI button. Okay, so I still have one Cloud Express ordering. So Cloud Express ordering. Yep. The only difference between Cloud Express ordering and DCI ordering is that Cloud Express ordering, the destination must be a cloud. Okay. And the source is the same. You can select your port or new data center to be provisioned as a port. Same story. Shanghai. So you can select whatever one. I'll select the Azure one because it only needs just the service key. Whatever works. Okay, so in this case, PGS only returns us as one route results and DC Connect Megaport. My port 3. So in here, we only need to validate the source port status. Next, then just input your key. I have a key, so I just type some random key here. So whatever. Review and click order, and that's it. So it's pending. Expected. And that's everything for Cloud Express ordering. Okay, simple, right? But there are a lot of hidden steps that we need to handle behind the scenes. Okay, any questions so far? Feel free to raise it out.
Yeah, so one of the things we need to be testing later on will be the integration test. So what Zhezhen has shown right now is basically the step on the retail portal. But for example, for the Cloud Express, we'll need to eventually have the integration test, which will include actually creating the cloud service on, like, for example, AWS or Azure. So that will be an important step. Zhezhen, a few questions for you. When I create a new port, so when I choose a new port for the source and destination, when it says the port is ready, what is the criteria that you use to determine it's ready?
Okay, so the validate port status, right? So that one is looking at the service item status. Okay, so in this one is a little bit technical. The DCI, for example, to get the validate port status pass, so the SDN port SI, okay, if it's an on-net, the port ID must not be null. If it's an off-net, the international port ID must not be null, because the retail portal API use these two as the request body. So which is why I must have this step block until the order has completed.
Okay, but does the order have to be completed? Or do you just need to wait until the port ID is ready?
Right now, the logic is it has to wait until the order is completed. I can change it to check if the ID is already non-nullable or not.
Yes, that would be better, because for DCI, when you create a port, we have a step in the in the port ordering, which is to check if the port is up. So the order would not finish until after we finally check the port is up. However, the port is up often depends on whether there's actually traffic passing through the port and whether we have plugged the SFP, this small form pluggable, into the switch.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So there'll be a lot of cases where you create the port would still be yellow or like pending status, but you have the service item ID.
Okay.
And For when you create a DCI, I saw that there is you need to enter the VLAN, the source and destination VLAN. Those are required. Have you handled the case for Q&Q or access port?
No. Wait, I'll try
Okay.
again. Okay.
Okay.
As you can see, the port
Yeah.
now we only support just one port type. Just type in.
So it's the single tag.
Okay. Okay. So the port type options, I don't even show it because we only support just one. So I think it's the no in the request body must be NO, no. I don't know what that means. Let's
Okay. So Q&Q is no.
Q&Q and is not supported yet.
Yeah. So Q&Q is no just means a single tag. Optional means it could be single or double tag. Yes is a double tag, and access means the access port with no VLAN tags. Okay. Okay. Then for now that will be okay. Eventually we will need to support those.
Okay. One I still need to elaborate on one point. Okay, so which is related to the web pricing. Okay. All right, with web pricing, right? Let's try and use the same one. This one and the mobile global. Use this one. This is mainly explaining for the absent stakeholders. Okay. Jeannie told me that the original idea is to have an inquiry ID here, so something they can copy and then paste it over to retail portal. Okay, I can say straight here that this one doesn't remove the possibility of like unsupported route or destination data center does not have available port. Why? Because this one with web pricing is just displaying the results returned by pricing graph server. Here there are no validation checks or any other things. Okay, it's just it gets an apple and it displays an apple. That's all. In here, I did some filtering and added some unsupported reason. So even though we have an inquiry ID here and you paste it here, that isn't going to work 100%. Yep. Okay, this is just explaining that the inquiry ID. Okay.
That's just the consequence of having a very permissive price calculation. So the pricing web will provide many results, including those that we cannot provision. And this is on purpose because the sales may want to see the price anyways, and we can sometimes do a manual order.
Okay. Any other questions, guys? Okay.
If not, I assume you will all be testing retail portal this week.
And watch out for the pop quiz.
If no questions, then I'll end here. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Judge. Yeah, this is a very extremely important and important task.
Thanks, Edgar.
Okay. And next is no less important is a revamp for the platform management page. So this has been several months in the working. Eric has been working on that. And basically all the pages should be ready now. So Eric, you can share your screen.
Okay. can see the screen? Okay. What I have done for the past month is the revamp for facility management, SDN city management, and also the revamp on the node management page. Is a continuous from previous month for these two, facility operator and tenant. So I'll start the demo on the facility. Before you create a new facility, you must have at least one data for tenant and facility operator, because it will be used in the create form. So for example, the facility operator will be used in here, and this country and city already matched with the later SDN city management page data, so it won't have two source of data. Yep. So this facility logo will reflect to your facility operator here. Yeah. So when you create, it takes times. And yep. So this is basically the flow for creating a facility. And when you need to in the node management there is a requirement where you need to have a facility to create a new node, because this is a new requirement. So if there is no facility created, then in this field you won't have the facility that you just now has created. So the reason why just now facility 02 didn't have in this create form is because the facility you haven't added with tenant names. So you can see here. Yeah, you didn't have the tenant names to be inserted, so it will directly filter out the facility inside your node create form. So this one you need to remember to have this input before creating new node management. So once you created, and you can use in here. So this create form for facility and adding model for adding tenants. Edit your facility informations and also delete. This page also only limited to master account type, and also included with import data as the previous facility operator and tenant management page. You can download the Excel. Yeah, these are examples. And also import
I was using the just now imported. So it basically help you to import data, but you have to manually input the facility operator and the logos, because this one required the upload the to choose this facility operator depends on the option that you have created. They only have the images for it. Yep. So this will conclude the facility management page. Then next one will be SDN city management. This one, the data coming from the SDN cities where have been created previously, just that it will be displayed in table form, and also limited to master account type only. You can create a new cities through this form, but later you cannot delete it, because once you delete, it will cause damage to the source of cities and crash for the whole system. So we will not have delete option for this SDN city management. So you can view the data and edit, depends on your preference. Yep. So this is basically a minor page only. For the new node management, as presented as just now, you have so you will need to have this is a new input for the node operator, where you can choose. And also this white label is important, as when later you the user is not a master type, but as a white labeler, the user cannot view on others white labeler resources. So this will be the key where it helps to filter out their resource based on white label name. Then this facility will be the facility created previously, and tenants they have added. If not added, won't have the facility and the tenant names also. And this address will come from the facility. Because I didn't add the remaining address here, so it won't have. then it will only show you the addresses. So when you save, it will be created. So you can search to it. Yeah, this is the node that have created just now. And we also included with import data to be created the created the node in bulk. So for example, you just need to facility not in option. Oh, okay. So this is the overall revamp for the platform environment. Yeah. Is there any question for it?
Sorry, I have a question. So for the LOA, is it like we already changed the logo into tenant logo? Because we have that tenant and then we have that logo in that tenant is just to for LOA to so LOA is supposed to be showing the tenant is supposed to be issued by the tenant instead of like the node operator.
I've updated the logos match with the tenant's logo. But I need to look back to the source because this one is the old part and for the tenant's logo to be appear in the new LA form, the port nodes must be updated with new facility tenants and facility operator. So it's a long process. I need to
Okay.
locate. Yeah.
It's okay. Okay. So it's okay. I'll test about that later. It's okay.
Yep.
Okay. Got it.
So one word of note is once this is deployed to production, which should be pretty soon, then the system team will need to set up a lot of data. They need to add all the facility and update all those nodes to have the operator and the white labeler. So this will help you to identify which is the white labeler of the node, which will also be important because eventually we will be able to filter out so that the white labeler could only see their own nodes.
And also for the service coverage logo, we also have made it where not sure can access to you. Yeah, for the service coverage logo, currently can change for the data center logo. For this one, uh, this one is a data center logo, but by default, above the data center logo, it will be the facility operator logo. So even when you delete this data center logo, it will also appear the facility operator logo. If you have already added the facility operator into this node. Yep. Yep.
Any more questions? Okay, if not, then I'll share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Eric, you may need to have you. Okay, there we go. You should be able to see it now.
Yep.
So for the POS API server, there's actually quite a bit of changes because all the update for the platform management also have to reflect in the API server. But apart from that, we also have a few fixes. One is to make the SDN partner SI.connection type an enum instead of a string. So this is a very backend implementation. But what that means is that instead of being able to type any random string, we have a fixed set of enums like the Ulu Global, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, so that we know exactly what kind of API partner or Cloud Express we support. Of course, as we add more of those, we will have more values. Ulu Global, by the way, is representing our API partner like Console Connect, Megaport, and Epsilon, but DCI only. And Cloud, like AWS, is for the Cloud Express Exchange. In terms of the controller, there's just one update is for the Cisco NCS 540 device, and this is for instant DIA, and it's for requested by PBS. So that will be a new option when you create a new switch.
Sorry, Jonathan, to disturb. Whilst doing these enums, was there a possibility of updating that name, Ulu Global, to something a little bit more indicative of what it represents?
Yeah, definitely we can update that. So Ulu Global come from the, it was actually the product name of, one of the product name of Bitos.
Bitos, okay.
Yeah, so this is from a long time ago. All that ticket does is change that to an email. So we haven't changed the name of any of those.
Okay.
And then for Looking Glass, system team has already updated one new location, which is in Bangkok, and is provided by HGC. Okay. So then moving on, I guess maybe Paul, if you want to talk about the pricing graph. Okay,
That'd
then
be
I'll
no problems.
stop.
Okay, let me know when you can see my screen.
Yep, I can see it.
Okay. So earlier in the last month, we had an issue with Console Connect pricing. Wasn't coming back with the same pricing as we were getting from the Console Connect portal. That was caused by a multiplier mismatch. So Console Connect had updated their pricing multiplier, and because the pricing graph server had that hard coded into the database, that was something that Surgeon had to update. So that's Surgeon's work there. The next thing on this list is modifying the ESX algorithm. And what happened here was that Saipeng came back with a issue where he wasn't able to get his test cases to run properly. They were excluding proper solutions from a test. And that was caused by a feature really of the ESX algorithm. So the algorithm is a heuristic algorithm. That means it's not deterministic. It uses rules to get close to a solution, close to the optimal solution as possible with a minimum amount of effort. And so one of those heuristic rules, so there's a criteria for selecting, let me back up a little bit. So the way the ESX algorithm works is that it gets a best path through the network, and then it starts to remove edges from that path and then do that search again to find the next best path, so on and so forth. And it will slowly remove all of the edges until it thinks it's found a set of paths that are optimal. Now, what was happening is that our mapping edges are treated exactly the same as any other kind of edge, and because they're zero cost, and because our strategy is to remove lowest cost first, they were being removed. And in this situation that Saipeng had constructed, it meant that when we remove this mapping edge here, no solutions are returned. So the algorithm concludes correctly that this should not be an edge ever to be removed, and it's protected. It then goes ahead and removes the next smallest, which is this mapping here. And when it does that, it does get a solution. Unfortunately, that's a very expensive solution. So despite the one good solution, it gets this very expensive solution that bypasses the mapping, and the mapping is never replaced. It's never protected. That's the long and short of the problem. So the solution there was to make it so that the ESX algorithm never removes zero cost edges, and that protects the mappings and allows it then to search through this entire space rather than actually removing it and then only having one solution to go with. So that was the modification to the ESX algorithm this month. We also updated the pin on our packages for the pricing graph server. Again, just repeating, that's important because if for whatever reason Zergen or myself leave the company, the next person to come along needs to be able to pick this up in working condition. This hadn't been fixed since February, so that this is an update of maybe 3 or 4 months of updates to packages. And what I did there was the issue still remains. These packages are failing tests when they're installed, but they aren't failing substantively. So that means that the functionality of the packages is perfectly fine. It's just that the tests themselves are failing, and they haven't been updated in the Nix package manager. So all I'm doing is just ignoring those test results when it's compiled, and that now compiles for us. Hopefully soon those will be fixed upstream, and then we can go back to having our vanilla pin. Saipeng is in the midst of adding the sequence functionality. So sequence is a way for us to fix a sequence of edges in the as a solution is generated by the ESX algorithm. The reason this is necessary is because of issues with getting loop pricing for partners, and that is now at the PR stage, and I am reviewing that for inclusion into the pricing graph server. Okay, moving on to Televerse. So last month was the Rome MEF meeting. That was quite positive in terms of generating interest for W3C identity and zero knowledge EVMs. We've had subsequent meetings with Retelit, a Italian telecommunications company, and Proximus, which actually is a internet provider. So they're doing, sorry, not internet provider, they're doing last mile. So not actually that advantageous for us. Here we have the presentations that we made at MEF. So if anyone wants to watch those are available. The consensus collaboration is still in the works, and we're waiting on a legal contract to come through. They contacted me today to go ahead in good faith on the collaboration, so that's going ahead. In terms of the Televerse service provider node, that's the work of myself and Hong Young. Lots of updates to models and updates to the routers that access them. Also, the seed data import, which was started last month, was completed this month. So that means that we're pulling real data into Televerse from BOSS, which is good. One thing I'd like to mention is the addition of React Query DevTools. This is a tool that allows us to see our queries in real time, see exactly how they're operating, how they're being updated, how the caching works. And so this is fascinating to watch in real time. I'm going to give a quick demo of that here. So what's just happened as I've switched over onto this tab is that these refresh. These are at a 20-second refresh. So, sorry, these are set up to have a 20-second cache. So that means that they will refresh if I refresh the page. So that has now gone into a stale state. That means that if I switch away and come back, they will be refreshed. If I had switched away before that, they would not. So if I refresh those now, this one is refreshed, this is still stale, but if I switch away and come back, they both go to fresh state. That's because this was fetched again when I came back. This one will expire first. So this will go into a stale state after 20 seconds because it wasn't refreshed when I switched back. So this is a way for us to save a little on calls to the backend, as well as being able to troubleshoot issues with context being lost. So for instance, if I'm navigating through my site and then all of a sudden these disappear, I know that there's something wrong with my state management at the front end. There's lots of things you can do here. You can remove the data. You can invalidate it. Invalidate the cache. Sorry, and all of that has effects in the front end, so you can sort of test features. So very handy to have. That comes from TanStack. So Zergen, I'm not sure if you're already using it for the retail portal, but that's quite useful. Yeah, this transition here is actually what allows us to do that, to use those tools effectively. With mapping, really just things that if you're interested, you can go through these, fixing things like menu navigation, which was a bit glitchy, transitioning to using server-side rendering as a default app-wide, although most of the time we are actually using static site generation. The only thing that uses server-side is actually the TRPC endpoints. Circular progress, and on the ITN integration side, we're running into actually quite a few bugs on the ITN network code, and I've been engaged in improving their documentation as well as passing bugs onto them. It is a fairly complicated system, and they still have some things to iron out there. That's it for me. I'll pass it back to you, Jonathan.
Okay.
Any questions? No questions? Okay, back to you, Jonathan.
Okay. I think that the Televerse is the last part of the presentation.
Yep.
So are there any questions about anything from this release? If not, then my question to the system team is to organize and finalize the time for the production deployment. So the production deployment, we haven't done it last month. So the one this week will basically have 2 months worth of deployment. So we need to make sure we do a lot of testing.
Yeah, sure. We will schedule to discuss about this further.
Okay. Let me know when you want to talk about that. We're free basically anytime.
Okay.
Okay. I believe the staging server is going to be already using the latest code. That's it.
Yes, it's already using the same version as development.
Okay, yeah. So staging is now in the development code base instead of production code base. So you can do all your testing on staging. Okay. Then if no other questions, then we'll stop here. So thank you very much for listening.
Right. Thank you.
Thanks everyone who came. Thank you.
Everyone.
Good evening.